Before I begin, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Stories like this are real, raw, and they might just open your eyes to what people are capable of. My name is Daniel Reed. I'm 52 years old, the kind of man who spent most of his life keeping his head down, working steady, raising my kids, and trying my best to be the kind of husband a woman could rely on. I've never been dramatic, never been loud, never been the guy who storms into rooms demanding the world fall in line. I've always believed you don't need noise to be strong. You just need to keep standing. My wife, Claire, used to love that about me. Or at least she said she did. We'd been married 19 years, together 22, parents to 2 kids, Ethan, who's 14 and already looks me in the eye without tilting his head back, and my 10-year-old Lily, who still leaves little drawings on my desk before school. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and I thought we were doing fine. But this story isn't about the life I thought we had. It's about the night it all shattered. It started on a Wednesday morning that should have been easy enough. Breakfast, backpacks, reminding Ethan for the 10th time to actually put on socks that matched. Claire had been gone for 3 days on a business trip to Denver. She worked in corporate training, loved hotel lobbies, room service salads, and the whole professional woman on the move thing. Usually when she traveled, she checked in at least once a day with the kids, sometimes sent photos of her meals or the view from the conference center. This week, nothing. A few short replies, late responses, a missed call at 1:13 a.m. that she never followed up on. I told myself she was busy. Conferences were loud, chaotic, exhausting. But something small and sharp kept poking at me every time I looked at my phone. And that morning, while Lily poked at her cereal and Ethan scrolled through his phone, an idea hit me so suddenly I actually said it out loud. What if we go surprise Mom this weekend? Lily's head snapped up like I'd announced Christmas. Really? Go to her hotel? She asked, practically glowing. Even Ethan paused his scrolling long enough to nod. That'd be cool, he said. Teenager speak for yes, absolutely. That was all the encouragement I needed. By noon I'd arranged Friday off, booked flights, and found a florist near the Denver Marriott to have a bouquet ready for pickup. Lily insisted on daisies because they're happy flowers. I didn't argue. I texted Claire, just normal, casual, gentle stuff. She didn't answer. That should have bothered me more than it did. Maybe I didn't want it to. Friday came fast. At the airport, Ethan kept checking our gate number. Lily carried the stuffed bear she'd had since kindergarten, and I pretended I wasn't checking my phone every few minutes. Still no answer from Claire. Straight to voicemail. The flight felt longer than it was. 3 hours in the air, and every minute of it I kept trying to push away the thought that something was wrong. When we landed in Denver, I tried her again. Straight to voicemail. But the excitement on Lily's face was too bright for me to dim it with worry. We grabbed the rental car, picked up the flowers, and drove toward the hotel. Me telling the kids how surprised their mom would be, how she'd probably cry when she opened the door, how it would be the best memory of the year. But somewhere in the middle of that speech, I realized I didn't believe it. Not completely. The Marriott was one of those places with polished floors, quiet lobbies, and people rolling suitcases who look important even when they aren't. I told the kids to wait on the big blue couches near the fountain while I checked us in. That's when the first crack appeared. I'm looking for my wife's room, I told the front desk woman. Claire Reed. She checked her screen, nodded, and said, Mrs. Reed is in 912. Would you like me to call the room? Something in her tone was cautious. Sure, I said. She called. It rang, and rang, and rang. No answer. She might be in the shower, I said, forcing a smile. Could I get a duplicate key? Our kids want to bring her flowers. The woman hesitated just long enough for something cold to run through me. Then she printed a key card. Of course, sir. The door opened without resistance, swinging wide like it had been waiting for me. I didn't step inside right away. I just stood there, letting my eyes adjust to the dim hotel lighting, letting my brain try to explain everything I was seeing in some way that didn't make my stomach drop. The first thing I noticed was Claire's blazer tossed over the armchair. Not folded, not hung, just thrown. Careless in a way she never was. Then her heels by the desk. Then her suitcase half opened on the floor, clothes spilling out like someone had rushed through them. None of that meant anything on its own. People get messy on work trips. People forget to tidy. But then I saw the things that didn't belong to her at all. A navy blue shirt, men's, crumpled on the foot of the bed. a pair of black dress shoes beside the nightstand, and on the bathroom counter, through the open door, a bottle of cologne next to Claire's makeup bag. I froze, half in the hallway, half in the room, unable to move forward or backward. The bouquet of daisies Lily picked was still in my hand, stems wrapped in crinkling plastic, and I remember thinking that the flowers suddenly looked ridiculous, absurdly bright in that dim room, like they didn't belong in the same universe as what I was seeing. I stepped inside. The carpet felt too soft under my shoes, too quiet, like it was absorbing my footsteps out of respect for what I was walking into. I placed the flowers gently on the desk, almost automatically, and that's when I saw her phone lying there. Claire never left her phone out. Never. Not even at home. But there it was, screen lit up, unlocked, a message still on display. If your husband calls, ignore. I'll keep you late, winky face. I didn't breathe, didn't blink. My hands didn't shake. I just stared at the screen, the timestamp, the little winking emoji, the casual cruelty of it. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. A steady, slow thud like my body was trying to decide whether to explode or go silent forever. A part of me wanted to smash the phone against the wall. Another part wanted to collapse on the floor. What I did instead was exactly what I'd done my whole life. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic. I just set the phone back down. I stood there in silence, taking in the room. The sheets rumpled, a towel on the floor, 2 coffee cups on the counter, 2 keycards by the TV. Proof didn't need words when it was already screaming at me. And that was when I heard voices, muffled at first, then clearer. The latch on the door clicked, and instinctively I stepped aside, turning my face toward the window like I was just another piece of furniture. The door opened. Claire walked in wearing only a white hotel towel, her hair damp, her skin flushed from the shower. She was laughing about something, laughing in a way I hadn't heard in a long time, and then she saw me. The laugh died instantly. Her smile froze, her whole face drained of color. Daniel? She whispered, clutching the towel tighter. Behind her, a man stepped into view, also wrapped in a towel, drying his hair with another. He stopped when he saw me, blinking like he'd just realized he walked onto a stage mid-performance. Claire didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't fall apart the way I once imagined a cheating spouse might. No, she went straight to annoyed defensiveness. "Why didn't you call first?" she hissed, like I'd interrupted a meeting, not my own wife's affair. And something inside me, something I'd spent years softening for the sake of my family, snapped into perfect clarity. I didn't answer her question. I didn't look at the man. I didn't yell. I just reached for the bouquet on the desk, picked it up, and stepped aside from the doorway. "Kids," I said quietly down the hall. "Come say hi to your mother." Claire's eyes widened in horror. "Daniel, no, don't." But it was too late. Ethan appeared first, walking with that teenage mixture of slouch and alertness. He froze when he saw Claire in a towel, then noticed the man behind her. His face hardened in a way no 14-year-olds should. Lily came running right past him, carrying her little backpack bouncing behind her, clutching a card she'd made on the plane. "Mommy," she said, holding out the flowers she'd picked from the bouquet. "We came to surprise you." Claire looked like she'd been shot. The towel man took a half step back into the room, suddenly remembering he existed. I watched Claire's face twist, shock, embarrassment, guilt, and something else I didn't want to admit I recognized. Fear. "Lily, sweetheart?" Claire stammered, forcing a smile. I didn't know you were. Why didn't your dad?" I placed the bouquet into Claire's frozen hands. "He sent you a message," I said quietly. "You might want to hide it from your daughter." Claire's breath hitched. She looked at the phone on the desk, then at Ethan's expression, then at Lily's bright, innocent face. For the first time in a long time, she didn't have anything to say. Silence stretched between us, the kind that bruises. I bent down, zipped Lily's backpack and said, "Kids, grab your things." The man in the towel tried to speak then. "Look, this is awkward. I didn't know she was..." I raised a hand without looking at him. "Don't." He shut up immediately. Ethan crossed his arms. Lily looked confused. Claire's composure was cracking completely now, her eyes welling, her voice trembling. But no tears came. She wasn't crying yet. Not here. Not in front of the kids. "Daniel, please," she whispered. "Let me explain." "No," I said. "Not here." I kept my voice steady, calm, emotionless. The exact opposite of what she expected. "Get dressed. We'll talk downstairs." She nodded slowly and slipped back into the room with the man. I walked my children toward the elevator, flowers still clutched in Lily's small hand, Ethan stiff beside me like he was holding himself together by sheer force. When the elevator doors opened into the lobby, I expected emptiness, quiet. Instead, we stepped directly into the second twist of the night. Standing near the front desk, bags in hand, coats on shoulders, were Claire's parents. They had come to surprise her too, and they arrived 5 minutes earlier because of a text I'd sent that morning when I still believed surprises were good things. Her father turned first, smiling. "Daniel, there you are. We wanted to." Then he saw Ethan's face, then Lily's flowers, then my expression, and finally Claire, stepping out of the second elevator behind us. Hair still wet, makeup smudged, and behind her, half hidden him, her father needed 1 second to understand everything. 1 second. Then he looked at Claire with a kind of disappointment that seemed to age him 10 years in a heartbeat. "Rebecca," he said quietly, "that's the man worth losing your family for?" Claire's mother covered her mouth. Claire closed her eyes, and I knew then that nothing, not her words, not her excuses, not even her tears, could undo what she had chosen. I took my kids by the shoulders, guided them past the frozen scene, and said only one thing as we walked toward the exit. "We're going home." We left the hotel in a silence so complete it felt physical, like the air itself had weight. I carried Lily in my arms. She was confused, tired, and halfway through asking why Mommy looked scared before she fell asleep against my shoulder. Ethan walked beside me, jaw clenched, fists shoved deep into his hoodie pockets, trying to look older than he was and failing only because of how tightly his lips were pressed together. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see Claire scramble or cry or argue or reach for us the way people do when they suddenly care about consequences they never considered. Outside, the cold evening air hit us, sharp and clean, so different from the suffocating mess inside that hotel room. We reached the rental car. I buckled Lily into her seat, handed Ethan his seatbelt wordlessly, and started the engine. No music, no talk radio, just the hum of the car and the quiet breathing of my children in the dark. Halfway to the airport, Ethan finally spoke. "Dad, are we going home? Like, home? "Yes," I said. "Right now." He nodded once, swallowed hard, and looked out the window. "Do we have to come back for her?" The question hit like a punch I'd been walking toward for hours. "No," I said. "We don't." I glanced into the rearview mirror. Lily slept with her stuffed bear tucked under her chin, one hand still loosely holding a crushed daisy. The sight nearly broke me. At the airport desk, the agent asked if our trip was cut short. I said yes. She asked if everything was okay. I said nothing. Some stories don't belong at counters and kiosks. We caught a red-eye flight home. Lily slept the entire way with her head on my arm. Ethan didn't sleep at all, just stared into the dark cabin, earbuds in but no music playing. I didn't sleep either. I knew if I closed my eyes I'd see the room again, see Claire's face again, see the man behind her, see my kids in the doorway holding flowers they picked for a woman who chose someone else. When we landed in our city, morning light was just starting to spill over the horizon. I carried Lily to the car, let the trunk slam softly shut, and drove us home. Our house, warm, familiar ours, felt strange when we walked in. Too quiet, too intact, like nothing had happened, even though everything had. Lily woke up on the couch while I was making her breakfast. "Daddy, where's Mommy?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. I froze for a second. Not long, but long enough for her to notice. "Mommy needs to finish her work trip," I said gently. "She'll come home later." It wasn't a lie, not technically, but it was the last half-truth I let myself say. After breakfast, I sent Ethan upstairs to shower. Lily curled up with cartoons, and I sat at the kitchen table staring at my phone, at the empty screen where Claire hadn't messaged, called, or apologized. The silence from her was as loud as everything else. Around noon, she finally called. I didn't answer. She called again. I declined. It wasn't anger, it was clarity. I wasn't ready to hear her voice. Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. By the afternoon, she was blowing up my phone. Texts, calls, voicemails. Apologies, explanations, desperate promises, all of which I ignored. Around 5, the doorbell rang. Ethan yelled down the stairs, "Dad, someone's outside." My stomach tightened. I opened the door. Claire stood there. She looked exhausted. Makeup smudged, hair pulled into a messy bun, still wearing the same coat from the airport. Behind her, a rideshare car idled, waiting. "Daniel, please," she whispered. "Can we talk? Just us." Her eyes were red. Her face was swollen. For a moment, she looked like the woman I once knew. But only for a moment. "Not now," I said. "Where are the kids?" she asked quickly. "Inside. They're fine. Can I see them?" "No," she flinched. "Daniel, they're my children. And you're their mother," I said, keeping my voice low, steady, controlled. "But today isn't the day." She nodded slowly, tears forming again. "I made a mistake. A stupid, unforgivable mistake. But please, don't shut me out." I didn't shout. I didn't curse. I didn't break. "Claire," I said, "I didn't shut you out. You walked out on us before you even packed your suitcase." She covered her mouth with her hand. "Please," she whispered. "Please let me talk to you. Please let me explain." "Tomorrow," I said. "Not today." She nodded again, defeated. Then she left, shoulders slumped, before the driver could honk for her. That night, Ethan came into the living room and sat beside me. "Is she coming back?" he asked. "She'll be back in the city," I said. "But things are changing. Are you guys getting divorced?" His voice didn't shake. Mine almost did. "Maybe," I said honestly. "We'll figure it out." He nodded, pulled his knees to his chest, and leaned against me in the quietest, smallest show of affection I'd seen from him in years. "I don't want to live with her if she's with that guy," he muttered. "You won't," I said. "I promise." The next day, Claire and I sat across from each other at the kitchen table. No kids, no distractions. Just two people facing the wreckage of something we once thought was unbreakable. She tried to explain, tried to backtrack, tried to paint it as a moment of weakness, a lapse, a mistake she didn't plan. But the truth was simple and sharp. She made deliberate choices over and over again. And now they were circling back. "I'm sorry," she said eventually, voice cracking. "I know sorry isn't enough, but I am. I'm so sorry, Daniel." "I know," I said, "but that doesn't fix it." She cried then, really cried, shoulders shaking, tears falling, everything breaking through all at once. I didn't comfort her, not out of cruelty, out of necessity. For years, I'd carried the emotional weight of our marriage. That day, I finally set it down. I told her I was filing for divorce. She didn't fight me. She just nodded slowly, like she had finally accepted what she'd lost. Weeks passed. Papers were signed. Arrangements made. Ethan stayed with me. Lily split her time at first, but even she began asking fewer questions about mommy and more about, "When can we bake cookies again, Daddy?" One evening, about 3 weeks after the hotel, Lily crawled into my lap while I was reading. "Daddy?" she asked softly. "Is mommy still in trouble?" I wrapped my arms around her, kissed the top of her head, and said, "Sweetheart, mommy made an adult mistake. But you and your brother, you're my whole life. That will never change." And for the first time since Denver, I felt something unclench inside me. Not forgiveness, not relief, but possibility. A future that didn't include betrayal. A future that belonged to my children and me. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. And if you want more true betrayal stories told by someone who lived them, make sure you subscribe.